Before we dive into today's chapter, guys, I noticed something really important. Over 70% of you who watch my videos haven't subscribed yet, a humble request from your brother. I'm really close to reaching my first milestone of 1K subscribers, and I need your support now more than ever. If you enjoy the content, please hit that subscribe button. It's free, and it motivates me to keep bringing you these amazing stories. Thank you so much, and now, let's jump into the chapter. In the previous chapter, we saw the intense battle between Han Yunfeng and the demon Scheming Sect come to an unexpected end. Despite their advantage, the sect members showed respect, turning the challenge into a symbolic gesture of surrender. Zhuo Fan's proposal for a draw earned him admiration from the crowd and recognition from exalted He Ran and Bai Mei, who acknowledged this generation's extraordinary potential. Let's begin the chapter. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting a dim glow over the arena. With dusk settling in, the judge made his declaration. Today's fight is over. The middle three sects challenge round has taken far longer than expected, with each stage dragging on for 6 hours. The next round will continue tomorrow. As he finished, his gaze shifted toward Zhuo Fan, a bitter look etched on his face, as if silently accusing, "It's all your fault, you punk, for wasting everyone's time." The judge couldn't hide his frustration. A whole day had passed with just 6 single matches and 1 team battle completed in this yet unfinished middle three sects challenge round. Now it's going to take 2 whole days just to finish 3 rounds? Why must you dawdle every single time? First, the lower 3 sects round, and now this? Do you enjoy dragging things out so much? Can't you speed it up so I can finally get some rest? Zhuo Fan, sensing the unspoken complaints, chuckled softly, but then turned his head and rolled his eyes as if to say, "Not my problem." The judge sighed heavily, shaking his head. How on earth did such an infuriating troublemaker come out of the demon Scheming Sect, a mere lower 3 sect? With that, the crowd began to disperse. Zhuo Fan approached the demon soul sect and handed over Han Yunfeng, who was barely conscious. He promised to heal Han Yunfeng's injuries before leaving. The members of the demon soul sect exchanged uneasy glances, unsure if such heavy wounds could even be healed. Could he be bluffing? They wondered. But tricking them wouldn't serve any purpose. The injury was, after all, self-inflicted. Han Yunfeng had chosen to push through the challenge despite his deteriorating condition. The Double Dragon gathering was notoriously brutal, but the Demon Soul Sect members felt fortunate their sect hadn't been completely obliterated. Watching Han Yunfeng's frail figure, they sighed deeply, thinking, "The best talent of our sect reduced to this. What does the future hold for him now?" Meanwhile, Fiend Yang was jubilantly leading his team back, his voice booming with joy. Middle three sects. Can you believe it?" His excitement was palpable as he continued. "This achievement is monumental. Thinking back to our last Double Dragon gathering, only 4 out of 10 of us made it back alive. But this time everyone survived, and we've even earned a spot among the middle 3 sects. I still feel like I'm dreaming." Fiend Yin, however, sneered at his companion's dramatics. "Ha! You can't even compare this time to back then." He continued with a smirk. Back then, the team was filled with mediocre disciples who were only included because the elders and venerables wanted to show favoritism. They were completely useless on the stage. But this time, we brought real elites. Every single one of them is a force to be reckoned with, especially Zhuo Fan. That guy alone is worth 100. Remember the team battle? He could have wiped out the entire opposition single-handedly. Ha ha ha! Fiend Yin slapped Zhuo Fan's shoulder heartily, laughing all the while. Zhuo Fan grimaced, though, silently cursing. "Hey, my right hand is still healing, you oaf!" Though annoyed, he forced a twitching smile and nodded politely. Fiend Gui chimed in with hearty praise. "Hear, hear. Zhuo Fan is undoubtedly the backbone of this team. Without him, the others wouldn't have had the strength or confidence to fight." He's single-handedly raised our sect's reputation. Even the middle and superior 3 sects are taking notice of us now. When we return, the first thing we must do is reward him. He's the future pillar of the demon Scheming Sect. Ha ha ha. Fiend Yang snorted at this. That's obvious by now. Our position among the middle 3 sects is secure. We've even successfully challenged 2 middle 3 sects in team battles. That alone will ensure our standing when the final scores are tallied. Speaking of which, I'm still irritated by how the Mystical Heaven sect toyed with us. Enough about that, Fiend Yin interrupted. That's all in the past. Our focus now should be on the upcoming challenges. Fiend Yang nodded solemnly, his jovial mood turning serious. You're right. The earlier challenges were just warm-ups. The next 4 sects are the real contenders, especially the Sword God sect. Their strength is nearly on par with the superior 3 sects. We'll need to tread carefully. Their discussion was abruptly interrupted by a faint, weak voice. Excuse me, venerable sirs. Before planning tomorrow's strategies, could someone heal me first? I feel like I'm dying. Startled, the group turned to see Luizi lying on the ground, his face pale and miserable, as if he were clinging to life by a thread. Fiend Yang's face twitched in irritation. You've got the nerve to ask for help after pulling a stunt like that? What were you even thinking, pushing Han Yunfeng to the brink like that? Look at Kui Lang and the others. They understand what it means to be a hero. Their actions have earned us respect and elevated the demon Scheming Sect's reputation. He pointed accusingly at Luizi. And what did you accomplish? Both you and Han Yunfeng ended up half dead, and no one even cares. You've embarrassed us. Even if you'd managed to win, it would have been meaningless. Zhuo Fan had to step in and fix your mess. Luizi flinched under the verbal onslaught. Fiend Yang huffed and continued. Why did you even go all out to block him? Did you honestly think Han Yunfeng stood a chance against Zhuo Fan? Before Fiend Yang could continue, Zhuo Fan stepped in with a faint smile. It's fine. Let it go. Kui Lang and the others fought with honor and resonated with Han Yunfeng's spirit. Luizi, on the other hand, doesn't understand bravery. But he's one of ours, so let's not dwell on it. Fiend Yang frowned, but eventually relented with a sigh. Fine. But I'm not just mad about his actions. I'm worried about his lack of common sense. The Double Dragon Gathering is our chance to show the world our strength and principles. Yet his behavior risks alienating potential allies and benefactors. We may be a demonic sect, but we still have standards. We're not like rogue demonic cultivators. Zhuo Fan chuckled. Exactly. We collect protection fees. We don't rob people blind like those rogues. Ha ha ha. Hearing this, Luizi couldn't help but retort. And what about back when we toyed with the heaven-trailing sect? Wasn't that just as vile? Zhuo Fan's face darkened. He emphasized his point with 2 swift kicks. That was a calculated move. Everything I do has a purpose, power, and reputation. Sometimes you need to be ruthless to make others respect you. It's called strategy. Learn the difference. Fiend Yang snickered at Zhuo Fan's words. See that, Luizi? Zhuo Fan is a brilliant strategist while you're just a fool. You've got a lot to learn. Zhuo Fan chuckled and waved his hand dismissively. Don't worry, I'll heal him first, then teach him a thing or two. With that, he dragged Luizi into his room, leaving the others behind. Inside, Zhuo Fan threw Luizi onto the bed and shut the door. His expression immediately turned cold. What was that earlier? Were you about to spill the beans about Han Yunfeng too? Steward Zhuo, I didn't mean to. Luizi stammered, his fear evident. Zhuo Fan's eyes narrowed. You did well stalling Han Yunfeng earlier, but if you dare speak another word about this, I swear I won't. Luizi waved his hands frantically. You'd better not. Zhuo Fan huffed and pulled out a vial. He tossed it to Luizi. Drink this. Stay in here and don't come out for 3 days. You're not joining tomorrow's challenge. Just focus on healing. With that, Zhuo Fan stormed out, slamming the door behind him. Left alone, Luizi stared at the closed door, his expression darkening. Damn you, Zhuo Fan. You pull the strings from the shadows while I take the fall. You get all the glory while I'm left to rot. This isn't over. His gaze shifted to the vial. After a moment of hesitation, he opened it and drank. Meanwhile, Zhuo Fan returned to his own room. He took off his shirt and examined his injured right hand, which was still bleeding. He grimaced. Damn that fiend Yin. He's like an ox. And what's with this healing rate? Just a light touch, and it's opened up again. Thank God for Luizi's stalling. Otherwise, my wound would have been exposed during the fight. A sly grin spread across his face as he muttered to himself. Everything is going according to plan. A sudden chuckle rang out, sharp and old, piercing Zhuo Fan's ears. The sound sent a chill down his spine. Startled, he spun around, only to see an old drunkard sitting comfortably in his room. The man seemed to have been there the whole time, lazily sipping wine and watching him with an amused, penetrating gaze. Zhuo Fan's eyebrows twitched as he stammered. Senior? How did you get in here? The old man's lips curled into a crooked smile. What? Am I not welcome? He asked, his voice carrying a tinge of mockery. His expression shifted slightly, becoming almost savage as he continued. I've already told you before. There's no place on these lands I can't enter. No one can stop me. Zhuo Fan's face froze, his mind racing. He forced a strained laugh. Ha ha ha, of course, Senior. It's an honor to have you here. Your presence truly lights up my humble abode. How could I ever refuse you? It's just, your sudden arrival caught me off guard. Ch, the old man sneered, such a smooth talker. Who'd ever believe your flattery? His eyes narrowed, shifting to Zhuo Fan's wounded hand. You must be quite annoyed that this old man discovered your little secret. For a moment, Zhuo Fan was speechless, his eyes darting around nervously. Then, with a forced smile, he chuckled, Senior, what secret? I'm just an ordinary radiant stage disciple. What could I possibly hide? Surely you must be joking. Even as he spoke, he subtly tucked his injured hand back into his robes, trying to conceal it. But the old man wasn't buying it. Spare me your lies, he said coldly, his piercing gaze locking onto Zhuo Fan. Boy, tell me the truth. Who gave you that wound? Zhuo Fan hesitated, flicking his eyes around as if searching for an escape. Then, with a wave of his hand, he dismissed the question. Isn't it obvious, Senior? I've fought so many battles recently. Injuries are bound to happen. It's just a flesh wound, nothing worth mentioning. But I do appreciate your concern. The old man's face twitched in irritation. Cut the crap. Don't play dumb with me, I'm not buying it. I've seen your recent fights. None of your opponents could even touch you, let alone injure you like this. That wound, it's no ordinary cut. It was made by sword energy, and a powerful one at that. Now talk. Where did you go? Zhuo Fan's heart clenched, and he glanced at the old man warily. It was clear the old man already knew the truth, or at least most of it. Denying it further would be pointless. He sighed inwardly and decided to admit part of it. Senior, your insight is as sharp as ever. I was curious, let's say. I explored a certain place, and unfortunately, I got this little scratch for my troubles. The old man's eyes narrowed further, his tone dripping with mockery. Curious, were you? Don't try to fool me, boy. I know exactly what you did. Using your teammates as a distraction while they toyed with Scheming Sect, you sneaked away to investigate the sacred mine. Even the exalted double dragons didn't notice. Your plan was ingenious. Zhuo Fan chuckled nervously, trying to deflect. Ha ha ha, Senior, you're giving me too much credit. If it were truly ingenious, it wouldn't have failed to escape your brilliant eyes. Danking Shen, as the old man was known, studied him closely, his gaze sharp as a blade. Enough with the flattery. Do you think I didn't notice something was off? While your team was busy with their targets, why did you return to the valley so late? And during your fight with the Demon Soul Sect, why were you so cautious with your right hand? It all started to make sense the moment I saw your injury. His voice turned cold. You've got guts, boy. The sacred mine belongs to the Double Dragon Manor, yet you dared to sneak in. Tell me, who sent you? What's their purpose? Zhuo Fan shrugged, feigning nonchalance. Senior, you're making a mountain out of a molehill. No one sent me. I didn't even know the mine was there. I just felt an unusual concentration of spiritual energy in the area and got curious. That's all. I never intended to cause trouble. Danking, Shen snorted, unconvinced. You expect me to believe that nonsense? The sacred mine isn't just important to the Double Dragon Manor, it's vital to the entire Western lands. Thousands of monitoring arrays protect it, each one carefully placed to ensure no one can enter unnoticed. Even touching one would alert the two exalted elders instantly. Yet you claim to have wandered in by accident? Who helped you bypass the arrays? Zhuo Fan's brow furrowed, his mind racing. He had indeed avoided the arrays, but only through his own skill. Senior, he said cautiously, I won't lie to you. I noticed the spiritual energy was unusually dense and decided to investigate. As for the arrays, I analyzed the terrain and the flow of energy. That allowed me to find their blind spots and slip through unnoticed. I didn't have any help. Danking Shen's eyes widened slightly in disbelief. The arrays were set up by the exalted themselves, their positions hidden so well that even I don't know where they are. Yet you claim to have found them at a glance? Zhuo Fan straightened, his expression turning serious. Senior, my cultivation might not reflect it, but I'm a 10th grade array master. When it comes to arrays, my understanding is second to none. If I'd had more time, I could have broken them entirely, but I didn't want to risk alerting the exalted, so I took the safer approach. Danking Shen stared at him, skepticism written all over his face. The claim sounded absurd, arrogant even. But there was a confidence in Zhuo Fan's tone that made it hard to dismiss outright. Boy, the old man finally said, you're either the greatest liar I've ever met or the most terrifying genius to walk these lands. Zhuo Fan smiled faintly, sensing the old man's hesitation. Senior, you didn't come here just to scold me. What is it you really want? Danking Shen's eyes glinted with a mix of amusement and intrigue. You've got sharp instincts, I'll give you that. But don't get ahead of yourself. You're still just a brat. Ha ha ha, Zhuo Fan chuckled. Senior, flattery will get you nowhere. You came here because you need something from me. Why not just say it? Danking Shen's expression darkened slightly, but there was a hint of a smile on his lips. Fine. I want the sword that injured you.